everyone, my name is Victoria. Welcome to my book empire. As always, I'm really happy to see you here. As you understood, this video is going to be about the books I read in the past half of the year. I'm filming this in the beginning of July and you'll see the video by the middle of July, but I'll still give you the answers as to the end of June because that would be fair. And I watched a couple of videos. I also asked ChatGPT for help. So there is a mid-year freakout tag, a mid-year check-in tag. Some people just do best and worst books of the year, and I couldn't decide which one I like more. I actually didn't have the answers to all of the questions of each tag. Some I just didn't like. You know, I created this channel to do everything my own way. That's why I decided to mix everything up and to do it my own way and answer only the questions I like and I have the answers to. So let's get started. On the first place, I combined 3 questions because I kind of want to answer them all together. And they are, how many books have you read so far this year? Have you DNFed any? And what genre have you read the most? So by the end of June, I read 26 books and DNFed 3, which is a great achievement, but I'll talk about it later. So in general, it would be 29 books if I haven't DNFed 3, but I'm happy I did. As to the genres, I read 7 fantasy books, and that's not because I'm a great fantasy lover, but just because I finished a whole Harry Potter series this year. I read 6 non-fiction books, again, not because I adore that type of books, but just because I am a first-time mom and I have a lot of questions I'm learning, and I was searching for the answers to those questions in different non-fiction books. I read 4 thriller books, and I suppose you will see more of that genre on my channel because I do love it a lot. Then, kind of a disappointment, I read only 4 classic books, and I say that's a disappointment because that's a favorite type of literature for me, but I have a reason for that. Classic literature just needs a lot of time to consume it, then to analyze it, and then some time to digest it. And with the channel, when I started it, I realized it consumes a lot of my time, and I go for easier books, the one I can finish sooner, the one that will not make me think a lot, but I hope that will change as I am getting used to creating content and kind of find time for both creating and reading. Then I read 3 romances, and also loving the genre because it gives my brain a rest, but at the same time I read romances in English, which is a great practice for my language, so I'll probably read more in the future. Then I read 1 literary fiction and 1 historical fiction book. Now about the books I DNFed. The first one, you already heard about this one because I talked about it several times on this channel, and it's The Marriage Game by Alison Ware, which I DNFed after 50% because I was hoping for it, as I read other 2 books by the author and I loved them, and I could not understand what was wrong with this book because, like, how can I like 2 books by the author and then just hate the 3rd one? I don't know. But I did kind of hate it, although I sometimes now think that I maybe should give it another chance. Maybe not. Maybe in an audiobook. I'm not sure, but yes, I did DNF it. The second one is Promise at Dawn by Roman Gary. It's a classic fiction, but was more like a memoir for me. I DNF'd it after like 15%. And about this one, I will talk in my wrap-up video because I want to mention it as it was not a bad book. It was just not something I wanted at that moment. It was giving me kind of like filling my mind with bad emotions. It's not about bad things. It's about a man who is talking about his mother and how he appreciates his mother and loves his mother, although she has been gone for a long time. But it was written in kind of a French way, sad way, and I didn't like what I was feeling when I was reading that book. That's why I decided to DNF it, but this is the one I might read somewhere in the future maybe not. And then the third book is Mr. Wilder and Me, a historical fiction. I talked about it in my summer plans. I was excited about it because I found out that it was a historical fiction about a real filmmaker when I only grabbed that book. But it was so boring, so not interesting. Like, not a single fact in that book interested me. And I didn't hate it. It wasn't badly written, but it was just not interesting for me at all. You know, like 0%, not a single fact. And I was ready to give it up at 50%. Then I gave it another chance in an audiobook and listened to another 15%. And realized that I don't want to waste my time, my precious time, on the book I don't like at all. And in the beginning, when I realized it's gonna be boring in the beginning, and I continued reading because I thought maybe if the plot is not interesting, it can at least educate me in some way, give me some new knowledge about filmmakers, filmmaking, that field, but it did not. Like, nothing interesting, nothing educating, just boring, just not for me. The second question is, have you met your reading goal or are you on track? Yes, I am, because my reading goal for this year is 50 books. I read 52 books last year, and I'm kind of exceeding my goal a little bit, just one book, but still. And if I hadn't DNFed those 3, I would have read even more. Also, this blog consumes a lot of my time and my baby boy as well. So hopefully I will hit the point of 50 books by the end of the year. The third question is, what has been your favorite book so far? Here I can name 2 books. First, This Summer Will Be Different by Carly Fortune, because it gave me an ultimate summer vibe and the vibe of my 20s, and I was just feeling lovely when reading that book. And the second one is Look Closer by David Ellis, just because I have never experienced so many plot twists in one book, and my jaw was literally dropping several times in this book. There was a question in one of the tags, which book had the most shocking plot twist? This book would be the answer to that question. Look Closer by David Ellis, I could say it's the best thriller I ever read. I haven't read that many thrillers in my life, but this is number 1 for me. But it's difficult for me to call a romance or a thriller book my favorite, because these kind of books are like one-time stands for me, if you know what I mean. Because I never want to reread a romance or a thriller book, because once you know everything that is going on here and how it's ending, you don't want usually to reread those books. Like, I could reread The Unhoneymooners by Christina Lauren, which is my favorite romance, and I could say my favorite because, like, favorite among romances, favorite among thrillers, but not all-time favorites. Because again, why do I want to reread it? Because it was the first romance I read in my life. I could not expect what was going on there, because I never even thought, believe it or not, that a book could be like that. I was feeling that I was watching a movie, and I just loved that book because I was not expecting anything. I didn't know that I could expect those kind of things. This is the best, you know, the least you expect, the best you get. When we expect a lot, we get disappointed a lot. Am I clear enough? One of the reasons I could name the book favorite is when I want to reread it, like Gone with the Wind by Margaret Mitchell or Count of Monte Cristo by Alexander Dumas. Those books I really want to reread. I want to relive the emotions those books gave me. And with romances, like, this is the book you read once. At least that's how it is for me. And overall, this year was not too good for me, because I had only several books with 5 stars. 4 stars is not that bad, but it's not the favorite, you know. 4 stars is not a 5 stars. So I hope the second half of the year will be better, but we'll see. I am going to read The Onyx Storm by Rebecca Yarros, and that should be one of the favorite ones. I hope. Who knows? So again, among the thrillers, Look Closer by David Ellis is the best for me, and This Summer Will Be Different is the best for the past half of the year. I also talked about those books in my wrap-up video and one of them in shorts. So go check those videos out, please, if you want to know my full review and opinion about them. The fourth question, of course, is what has been your least favorite book so far? If I could name the book I DNFed, I probably can name that book because I DNFed it at 65%, and it would be Mr. Wilder and Me, the least favorite. If we don't count the book I did not finish, I would say Bonjour Tristesse by François Sagan. Not sure how to pronounce that because that's a French author, and French, in English, the French name is kept on the book. Again, it was not a bad book. François Sagan wrote it when she was 18 years old, and probably the book is for 18-year-olds because it was so naive, so silly, and I was like, what's going on, girl? What are you doing? Why would you do that? I was just kind of laughing inside because that's a book about a teenager for teenagers. I'm not a teenager anymore. Probably if I read it 10 years ago or 15 years ago, I would love it. So sorry, not for me. I read it, it was okay, but I did not like it. Question number 5, any new favorite authors, debut or new to you? I read 2 books by Elsie Silver and 1 book by Carly Fortune, and I did like those authors a lot. Again, they are a romance author, so among the romance authors and in that genre, I could say they are one of my favorites. They are also both Canadian authors, which I really appreciate. I, again, cannot say they are my favorite because I think I should read at least 3 books by the author to say he or she is my favorite. And I read only 1 by Carly Fortune, for instance. When I read at least 2, I might say something. Because sometimes, like with Alison Weir, you read 2 books, you think it's your favorite author, then you get a 3rd book and it disappoints you. I know that happens a lot with Emily Henry as well, because I know quite a few people who love 2 books by Emily Henry and then hate 4, or love 4 books and hate 2. So that's why I think I don't have the right to call them my favorite, but still, you should know that I do like them and they were new to me. Question number 6 is which book surprised you the most in good or bad way? And I combined it with the question, what is the most unique book so far? And Brazil by John Updike fits in here so well. Oh, how weird was that book? It did surprise me a lot because I was not expecting anything. I found it in a library, didn't read the blurb, I just realized I want to read something about Brazil because I haven't read anything about Brazil before. I thought it was summery enough for some reason, maybe because it was called Brazil. And it's really hard to tell what this book was about because it was about so many things. It was really odd, really hot in all the possible ways, full of dirt, full of sex and erotica, full of different events because we follow the characters for many years and the characters were developing throughout of the book. And I don't know if I want to recommend it because I haven't figured out my impressions yet. I don't even know if I liked it or I did not. It was just so weird. It was absolutely unique. I have never read anything like that before. It's in magical realism. It's not too much. It's just by the end of the book, just a little bit. It was bizarre. Question number 7. What's a book you were sure you'd love but didn't? The Marriage Game by Alison Weir. I talked about that one a lot. Okay, I'll name another one. The Meal on the Floors by George Eliot. But that was only my mistake and my expectations. I did not know the book was a coming-of-age story. That's why I was disappointed because most of the time I dislike coming-of-age stories. Like 80% of the books I read with that theme. That's why it was a bit boring for me, but it's a very good representative of classic literature. So I would recommend that book, even though I disliked it. And if you want to hear my full review, I talked a lot about this book in my last wrap-up video. Go check that video out. I also want to ask you, please check out my other videos, because like the last one I posted, my summer reading plans. I think I'm so open and sincere in that video, and it seems to me that that video is the best on my channel so far, but it got only 7 views for 2 days. 7 views, guys. I need your support, please. I cannot develop this channel without your support. Please like, comment, subscription, everything is needed from you, you know, like not so much. Maybe if you don't want to subscribe, okay, but if you have watched the video, give it a like, give it a comment, just support me so more people who probably could like me would see the video. A little bit of support would be greatly appreciated. Number 8, have your reading tastes changed at all in 2025? It's a difficult one to answer because I think that my reading taste hasn't been formed yet. I'm still searching what genres I like, what tropes in the books I prefer. That's why, how can it be changed if it's not formed? The only thing I can say is I definitely read more contemporary fiction than classic literature, and that's a bit of a change because I did read classics more in the past, but that makes me happy as well because I can see that I'm open to something new all the time, and I'm kind of expanding my borders. So that's not a bad change. Number 9, a book that emotionally wrecked you. I don't have an answer here, but I am lacking that so much, like truly deeply craving the book that will give me all kind of emotions in this world. Like I want to cry my eyes off. I do have quite a few books on my TBR and even on my shelves that could potentially make that to me, but as they are quite long, I have no idea when I will start them. Anyway, if you have any kind of recommendations for this question, share them in the comments. That would be greatly appreciated. Number 10, a book that made you laugh out loud. I never laughed out loud at the book. I very rarely laugh at the book. I might smile. I might have a wide smile, might smile a lot, but I rarely laugh. But I have a book here. I really laughed at Heartless by Elsie Silver. Not like out loud, I mean like laughing, could not stop laughing, but I did like it. I did laugh. I did like the humor of that book. It was funny. I can recommend it. Number 11, a series you want to start or finish this year. I definitely want to start and read at least one book by Robert Galbraith about Cormoran Strike, those detective series. Not all of the books for sure, but at least to start and read one. And I 100% want to read the original trilogy of Hunger Games by Suzanne Collins. I watched the films, but guess what? I forgot everything, and I can start from scratch and read the books like I have never watched the films, and I'm very excited about that. I also want to finish, like not finish because there is going to be the 4th book, but to read the last book that came out, which is The Onyx Storm, and it's the Empyrean series, the 3rd book in the series. Really excited about that, preparing for that by re-listening to the first 2 books, and will definitely read that book when it comes, which I hope will happen by the end of the summer. Number 12, which book left you thinking about it for days after finishing? So I did think about Look Closer by David Ellis for a couple of days after I finished, but I already mentioned that book. So I would say Anna Karenina by Leo Tolstoy here. I can't say I loved it. It was a 4-star read for me, but it was just such a versatile book. It arose so many different themes that it was impossible to stop thinking about it once I finished. And I think even if you don't like this book, it will touch everybody because there are, as I said, so many topics that at least one will touch your personality in some way. Number 13, what's your proudest reading moment so far? I have 2 here. First, I read Harry Potter series. I wanted to do that for so long that I'm really proud of myself that I finished them. And the second one is 3 DNFed books. I am proud of myself because that's something I was working on for a long time. It was really difficult for me, and you know, the third book this year I DNFed just like, I don't want to finish it very easily. And that's something I would call an achievement, because for me it's important, as if I cannot leave the book I dislike, then I have problems. Because in my life, apart from the books, I might as well stick to things that I dislike and kind of suffer because of that. For me, it's, I'd say, kind of a step toward giving up things I don't like or hate. It's like, it's not only about books for me, if you know what I mean. Number 14 is very interesting. What book has everyone been talking about that you haven't read yet? All of them? Probably, because I don't read extremely popular books or new releases or the book everyone on Book Talk, TikTok is talking about. I choose the books I want to read, the descriptions of which interest me, and those are usually not very popular books. Right now everyone is talking about the last prequel book to Hunger Games, but I only will read the original series first. Or everyone is talking about The Onyx Storm. I do want to read that book, but I haven't yet. Everyone is talking about a new Emily Henry book, but I don't even want to read it. So probably all of the books which are popular right now I haven't read yet. And number 15, if you could live in one of the worlds you've read about this year, which one would it be? One of Alison Ware's books, the medieval periods. I'd like to be like a woman living in a castle, wearing that beautiful dress. I do know that living in medieval period was not too much fun, especially in one of the Alison Ware's books where so many people were killed. But I am enchanted by that period. I love reading books about it, and that's my answer. And the last question here today will be a reading goal you'd like to focus on for the second half of the year. I definitely want to read more classic books, which I am not sure I will, but I still really want to. And I want to read at least one science fiction book, or a dystopian book, or both, because I have a couple on my shelves. I am really interested by them. I have been wanting to read them for long, and this is the genre I haven't touched yet this year. So this is kind of a plan. And the last one kind of sounds impossible and funny to me, but I want to verbalize that. I want to spend less money on books and read more of what I have on my shelves. Isn't that funny? I'm almost sure I will not be able to do that. But yeah, my budget says, Victoria, you have to read what you have. My husband once tried to count, taking into the consideration how fast I read, to count how much time I will need to read of the books, all of the books I have on my shelves. And he said I needed around like 5 years, and that was a year ago maybe. So now maybe I'm stacked with the books for 10 years. For me, you know, buying and reading books are like two different hobbies. I know you guys understand me, right? So maybe not stop buying them, but at least buying less, because I have another 16 Ukrainian books coming. We'll see how it goes. These were all of the answers for today. I would really appreciate if you answer some of the questions as well, like what was your favorite book, what was the greatest achievement of this half of the year, and what book emotionally wrecked you. I'd love to have some recommendations to that one. And thank you for watching this video till the end. I will see you in the next one. Bye.